All right, it is 9:49 a.m. and I had two scratches, nothing really working out right now, but they were good attempts and I had one trade with GEGI, which I'll go over first. This was like a dip and rip setup and I just probably didn't have the best entry. It did in theory work out, it just wasn't that profitable. It was a scratch. I lost maybe $2 from this trade right here. And I think I did have the right amount of shares for a $40 risk level. I'll have to check later, but GEGI in theory was like this breakout past 1 penny. It's been trading back and forth. It even had this big wick candle all the way down to 82, and then it came back. And the idea was is that this is Monday, the first day of the week. It's going to have a lot more ideal momentum, and it can push and really try to claim itself above the 1 penny level and uptrend over a longer period of time, especially in the morning. So I wasn't thrown off at all when it started the downtrend right here, even though it was at a, I think it was at a, no, yeah, it was at a gap up. It sold off the gap up and then it went under a penny. But then when it looked like it was trying to turn around and then get back above a penny, that's why I got in it at 9:33. I got in 20,000 shares at 102. So I was in it right here at the very top. Again, thinking that, we just sold off the gap up that it had. It even broke under a penny. So it ideally wiped out a bunch of sellers, which, I mean, there is a lot of volume here. It might have wiped out a bunch of sellers. So now it's trying to reverse. I'm in at 102 and it can continue the uptrend, get back to 105, maybe break the day high at 108 and just keep trying to distance itself above that level of 1 penny and try to again establish itself well above it and continue the uptrend over a longer period of time. It didn't work out. As you can see, I was in it right at the tippy top right here, and then it came all the way back, and I did sell in pieces. I did sell 10,000 shares at 1 penny at 937, and this was me lowering my risk. Of course, I did it before it started the uptrend, but I played it safe because I didn't like how I was in it right here. I thought it was going to continue the uptrend, but it didn't. And then it started the trade kind of at the 95 level. I didn't like how it broke under a penny again, but at least it was higher than this level right here of 93. And then again, once it was starting the uptrend a little bit, I thought, in case this is a top and this is going to be a lower high off of this level, my entry, I'm going to sell a piece. I did sell that piece, and then it started to work. I did sell 5,000 shares. So now selling half of my position that in theory is winning at 104 and 939. So that was right here. I sold 5,000 shares at 939 on the uptrend, and then it immediately looked ugly. And I did decide to sell the rest of my shares, especially because a very large seller, which is still here at 102, showed up at the ask, which is super bearish price action. I got out at 940, the last 5,000 shares, and that was right here. I got out at 101, so right here. Again, I was in it right here. I sold some at 104 right here, I guess. Yeah, in this candle, and then I sold the rest at 101. And this was a good attempt for what it was. It could have done the thing I was talking about. This thing was a scratch ultimately. And then I did trade DPLS, and this one was ugly as well, but it's trying to do it. It was just ugly. I got in at 946, 8,000 shares at 382 right here. I really didn't want to be in it at 382, but I liked how, it had this panic right here. It broke above it and everything. I wanted it to maybe try to drop one more time and then be a higher low off of here, but we never got it. I still got in the setup because I've learned not to hesitate too much because sometimes they actually work out very nicely, and I was just sitting there waiting for it to make like a higher low or something like that, but it just keeps going. I was in right here at 382, and then there was that big seller at the ask 382. It got taken out eventually, but it wasn't nice because then another seller at the ask with 300,000 shares around that amount also showed up at 384. I did sell my entire position at 38, and that was at 948. So what essentially happened is that it got really ugly. It broke past 382. It was going around at 384s. It wasn't looking horrible, even though we had a new 300K seller at 384 because there was support at the bid. And when the bid looked like it was starting to get wiped out, and taken away. I did sell at 38, and I guess it led to this downward price action of 375, and it's still trying to hang on and everything, but it's trading kind of ugly. Maybe it just doesn't have the right amount of volume or price action, or maybe there are just too many sellers, or maybe I'm just trading these choppy, ugly stocks. As you can see now, it's probably going to try to make a move towards the upside because that's how ugly these stocks are. But I'll make an update later to scratch this so far. All right, it is 9:58. Yeah, I tried the thing with GEGI and I got played by this ugly, ugly price action, and maybe I'm just too tired. I'm actually going to just hold back on my trading and stay away from GEGI, maybe ban myself from trading it. I did try because it was looking like it was going to break the day high. This one just played me. Actually feel like a fucking newbie from this trade. I did buy 20,000 shares at 9:55. Really ticked off that, I tried the thing right here and then it kind of failed because we had that big seller show up, and of course it's going to do it later, and that's not the right mindset, even though that's what I ended up doing. I did buy 20,000 shares at 107 because it was looking like it was trying to break the day high. I think it was still in the previous recording, and then it started to look really ugly. The bid was just wiped out and it just got into the selling price action, and it was looking very gross right after I bought too, which was not ideal. It could have uptrended maybe, or tried to pretend to uptrend it and then look really bad. But as soon as I got in at 107, it just started to sell off and looked super ugly. And all of the support we see right here at 105 was not there. It was just basically this chunk disappeared, and we just had 104 and 103. And I thought, all right, well, GEGI just played me, and I'll be getting out at 103. And I did do that at 9:57. And of course, the candle before started to reverse itself. This thing is very ugly. The price action is super manipulative, so I'll probably be again, not too interested in trading this one anymore, and I'll probably take a step back from trading. I did a weekly recap yesterday, and I just didn't have that much sleep, so I think I'm doing a lot of things wrong, and I think I'm also just being super unlucky. Because when something like that happens, it's just what's the chance that'll happen again? So I'll continue to watch it. I'll just probably sit back and see what it does, which is probably uptrend without me. It just doesn't feel like I'm in at the right point, the right mindset, or the right, it's just not my day for trading perhaps. So yeah, I'll make an update later. We'll see what GEGI does. Very ugly price action, very ugly stock, but the setup was still there. I just wasn't able to be a part of it. All right, it is 10:35. I'm gonna be seeing if it's gonna break 183. It looks like it might try to, but it could also just have a very big bidder show up and then maybe try to hold. But I did have a trade here with GGII, and I was thinking about the other two out of the three trades I had in the other recording, at least, so far without going over this one I just traded. I think the issue, and I changed this right here, I think the issue was that I've just been cutting trades like when it doesn't break my risk level just because the price action looks ugly for a little bit, but then it eventually works out. And I think the way I traded the last two trades was like a complete newbie, so I guess anyone here watching this can learn from my mistakes. Essentially with DPLS, like the first one right here, the very slow morning panic bounce play, again with my entry at 946 at 382 right here, you know, this is the kind of setup on the morning panic bounce play, even this one where I'm in at a bit of a higher price and it's trading a bit slower. This is the kind of setup where you risk the day low. And in this case right here, I got out of it just because the price action started to look ugly and I got out at 948. We did have this downtrend right here at 375 and it had volume, but it didn't break the day low. And this is a kind of setup where I just need to have balls and actually stick to my plan. And if it's not working out, it's too bad. But if it gets to my risk level, which in this case would have been the day low, and because my risk would have been the day low here, I would be cutting the trade if I'm in it at 382 and it gets all the way to 370 and it looks like it's going to break it. Because it is a day low, I'm going to get out if it looks like it's going to break it, even if it doesn't break it because it's the day low. If it breaks the day low, it could be a big panic. It could be something super ugly with a lot of slippage. So that's the idea with that. And I can be in that situation where I'm in it at 382, and I've done this before too. You know, it downtrends, it looks ugly, but then it eventually works out. It does break above this 384 range, and then it gets to VWAP, which is the goal. It got a little above it at 39, and this thing would have been actually a bit more profitable. At least, you know, maybe I sold still half of my position to lower my risk at my entry 382, and then maybe I sold the rest at 39. So between 382 and 39, maybe I just, let's say I sold at 386. Well, that would have been, let me bring this over right here, what it would have been like if I sold at 386. Again, it didn't work out that much. It wasn't like it really offered that much opportunity. It didn't, just shoot all the way to 4 cents or something like that and then continued. This thing would have turned that scratch into a profit. Still a scratch, but it would have been a profitable scratch. And then this one right here that played me with GEGI pretty nicely. This one could have been the setup where at 955, I'm in it right here. And it is kind of aggravating because, I tried to be in for that type of setup right here. It fails and then it does a bit later with like no volume until it actually tries to do it. I was right here at 107, 955. In this type of setup, I probably could have risked either VWAP or maybe like this range right here at 98. I think I would have risked VWAP because it's also a round number of 1 cent. And then, worst case scenario, I'm out at the day low, but because it is so close to my entry, I think I have my worst case scenario at 88. Where is it right here? This one. Yeah, 88 would have been, I thought, worst case scenario. I don't have the ability to cut where I'm supposed to because there's a lot of panicking price action and slippage. And at that point, I would have lost 40 bucks. That's my $40 risk level. I did sell at 957 at 103. And again, that one just was just because of the fact it threw me off the price action and the level 2 shifted around. And it is kind of lame. It has like this, gap right here and it trades a higher range and everything. And it got as high as 12, which is cool. This is the type of thing where I'm in at 107 and then I risk, in this case, VWAP or the round number of 1 cent. This could have been a lot more realistic. It would have allowed me to have held, even though I got to 103, and it would have allowed me to have been a lot more profitable. And let's just see what would have happened if maybe, I sold half of my position. Let's just say I sold half right at my entry because this thing was taking too long or something like that. And then I sold the other half. Let's just say 115, so not even the very top. So let's just say, yeah, let's just say I sold at 11, like not even trading my best, but still better than what I did today. That would have been just slightly profitable and I wouldn't have a red day and I probably feel a lot better. So I hope any of you who are watching this and as well as me when I rewatch this probably tomorrow and later today, you know, have a risk level, a real risk level, not just some random thing. Don't let some, in the moment price action throw you off unless, it gets to your risk level. And if it's really, choppy and manipulated, it's kind of hard for it to just fail and go all the way to the day low. It's not like, you're in it, let's just say right here for this break above this 115 level. It's going to be very hard for it to just flash at the day low at this point because it's later in the day. This would be like the worst case scenario. It will be a lot harder for it to just flash all of a sudden, that low or maybe even VWAP just to get you out and for it to bounce back later. This makes more sense for it to just shoot up from this one level to 108 and then, get as low as 103 and then it works. But, for it to have gone, to VWAP right here, the round level as well, or to the day low, that just seems a bit harder. So I think it's good to have a wider risk level and to stick to it and don't let any just ugly price action in the meantime freak you out. I think that can help me be a lot better. And I did trade this one well. This first one with GEGI just didn't have the best entry because I thought it was going to be quick. Let's go over the GGII trade, which in theory, it didn't really work that well. This was a scratch, but it was a little profitable. At 10:33, I was in at 19. And why was I in it? Why did I trade this stock in the first place? I didn't like how this thing is up on like a 25% gap up. It did break past VWAP. I did see this, and this thing offered a nice uptrend, just a bit too spooky. And I was looking at the other stocks, but I got in this because I thought it was gonna make like a head and shoulders. So why would I try to buy when a head and shoulders is a bearish setup? I thought this was the shoulder. I thought this was a head, and I thought it was gonna downtrend, make a shoulder somewhere, and then uptrend, and then best case scenario, it uptrends, it doesn't make a shoulder, it breaks the day high, and then it can continue the uptrend, which didn't end up happening here, but it was a good try. At 10:33, I was in 10,000 shares at 19 right here, and I thought worst case scenario, I'll be cutting it if it gets to the day low. And you know that would be pretty bad, but it's, again, if I have such a wide risk level, it's kind of hard for it to get to it. While my real risk level, I think, would have been cutting it if it were to have broken what I thought was a low right here, to form the shoulder, which was this 183 level. So maybe I could have had a wider risk level and made it VWAP. But you know, if it's like a shoulder of a head and shoulders, it's essentially going to make a shoulder at some point near the other shoulder. It's not going to make it like a way, you know, low shoulder compared to the other, because then at that point it's not going to really offer that much of a bounce in most cases. I did get out of my position half at 194. That was at 10:34. I didn't like how quickly it uptrended. Essentially, I wanted it to be nice and slow, but instead I was in it at 19 and it shot up to 19.4, sold half. But you know, giving it a chance that it could continue to uptrend, and it won't just be, you know, a shoulder, but it'll try to break the day high. I did get out the rest at 19, my entry at 10:34, because it did go from 19.4 to 19 with ugly price action. I think a big seller also showed up at the ask, and that was it. It continued to downtrend. I'll watch this. Again, kind of iffy trading this one because it had a gap up and everything, but I think that's good. At least I have one that kind of worked. Pretty much a scratch, but you know, if I did this, I would have been profitable today. And I'll try to do that tomorrow. I'll make an update a bit later. If not, when the market is closed. All right, it is 11:09 a.m. and I'll make an update as to what DPLS does. I think I could get to 36. I just had a little unfortunate thing where I didn't sell the way I wanted to. I sold actually everything. I wanted to only sell half. I was in 10,000 shares at 333 right here at 11:0. What is it? Yeah, 11:05. Right around right here, 11:05 at 333. Why did I get in the setup? Because it was downtrending and broke this trend line, this downtrending trend line right here. And I liked how it also looks like a head and shoulders. So like the shoulder, the head, and now we have the dip. And it's ideally going to make a shoulder, and it could get to 36. It can get to maybe even 39 or something like that. But uh, I'll say what happened. At 11:08, I did try to sell half of my position at 34, and again I was at 11:08. So this candle right here at 34. What happened was is that I had my sell at 34, or I think this one actually is the one I placed first. I'm not extremely sure because they executed around the same time. And what happened was is that the bid dropped. 34 was no longer at the bid. It was now 39.9. And I thought, all right, well, what I can do is just I'll place the sell order for the new price point at 339. That might have been the case, and then I'll cancel the other one. So I immediately placed the sell order, and then both of them executed. So that was kind of lame, but my idea was is that I had this trend line right here, and it looked like it was going to break past it, and I was just going to play it safe and sell half of my position, and then hold on to the other half so that it can ideally make a higher low off of this level right here. Let me turn off my alarm. Yeah, again, so the idea was is that we had the first trend line right here, and once it looks like it's gonna break past it, I should be out half of my position. Let it make like a higher low, ideally let it drop, and of course if it breaks, the level, if it doesn't make a higher low, I'll be getting out. But in theory, it downtrends, makes a higher low, and then it continues the uptrend, and then I can try my best to sell into the uptrend after that. And yeah, what happened was is that again, I had it at 34 to sell half. The bid dropped to 339. I placed the second order, and I wanted to cancel. I was actually clicking on the cancel button, but it just got executed, and that was that was lame. I'll probably never do that again, but at least I learned from that, and um, I think this thing could get to 36. It really can, or at least it has a good chance if it doesn't. I'll make an update later. I think I'm still gonna be down on the day, but yeah, at least I'm not trading like a complete newbie, just getting in. Oh, it looks scary. Let me get out, and then it uptrends later. That was just pretty dumb. Those other two trades. It's still the same day, but I feel like I've leveled up a lot since then. I'll make an update later. All right, it is 11 o'clock p.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall today was a red day. I'll be down $7.90, and that was with 7 trades. And I'm trying to bring up this right here. I had a great opportunity to have been profitable, maybe, or at least I would have been closer to that $0 level if I were to have traded these two a lot better. But I did have two more trades with GGII, and none of those worked out. And the problem was is that it just did not uptrend. It just did not bounce. I tried one for an 11 a.m. setup because it was around that time period, and I also liked how it was panicking so much. But I did take into consideration that this thing might not be able to offer much of a bounce because you can see it had a previous run up here, then it had this ugly wick candle and it downtrended. And if we look at a 2-year chart, it did another one right here, and it just has a really harsh downtrend when it drops, and this one offered not very much of a bounce, if anything, and that kind of leads me to being less interested in considering OTCs for an 11 a.m. reversal setup. But I did try GGII, and that was at 11:25. I'll get rid of no, actually I'll keep extended hours because it has a trend line. So I did enter right here, and that was at 11.9 right here at 11.25, thinking that it could try to ideally get to VWAP at some point. I didn't have the best entry, I think, and I did sell a portion of my position at 12, and that was 11.38. And this was me following along with the idea of it, maybe not necessarily working immediately, but maybe over a longer period of time it will. I try to be very patient with it because when I got in, there was a point where it just downtrended immediately, and I think it was around right here when I entered at 11:25, and it downtrended. If I were to have done the same newbie mistakes I was doing on those two other trades, I would have sold here and it would have been pretty ugly, but it did manage to hold itself, and it tried the uptrend, but it just wasn't that nice, and I did sell in pieces, and I got rid of my last piece, I believe, right here at 11.6 when it broke this trend line. It just wasn't able to really bounce, and as you can tell, it didn't really do that much more. It never got to VWAP. I did sell again 5,000 at 12, and that was at 11.38, which was a bit later, right around here. And then I did sell another 5,000 shares at 12 again at 11.43 because it just wasn't able to break past that very important level of 12. Let me bring this right here again. This level of 12 has just struggled to break past it. It never really did break that much past it. It tried here to get to 13, but it did downtrend and sell off, and this thing ended up pretty badly at the bottom. This thing just didn't offer a bounce. And I did at some point buy 5,000 shares at 12 to 11.47. And that was right here because it was looking like it was finally trying to break past the level. But as you can see, it was nothing more than a little blip. And then I did get out of the position completely. The rest of my 10,000 shares, so just half of my position at 11.49, I did get out when it did break that trend line right here at 11.16. And yeah, that one just didn't work out. It was unfortunate for what it was, but it was a pretty good attempt, and I traded it well. And then I tried one more time with just 1,000 shares at 1 o'clock. Again, this was like a $12 position. I just wanted to see if it would work. Like maybe not even full size, but is it just going to bounce at all in general? I did try when it was trying to break further past that 12 level at 1 o'clock. It did make that move to almost 13, but it didn't do much more. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to risk the day low. And that's exactly what I did. I got out of the position at 241, which was right here at 107. And I figured that from the price action, it looked like it was going to break the day low, so I got out. I could have maybe sold in pieces and pretended like this was a 10,000 share position, but I just held on to it thinking, it's either going to break the day low, it's going to get to VWAP. And it broke the day low. This thing was just very sad. DPLS, this one worked out. It got to the 11 a.m. time period. It offered a bounce, and this is the one I was in that I sold. All on accident. It did come back right here, make a bit of a higher low after this level, and this one did get to VWAP. Maybe it didn't touch it, but it pretty much got there from this 36 level to an entry at 33. This was a 10% move. Unfortunately, again, I got out of everything, but maybe I could have tried it here. But at this point, I was looking at GGII. Yeah, that's pretty much it. A few things I could have done better for sure. A lot of good learning lessons, and yeah, I hope I can be a little more lucky tomorrow, God willing. And I have that new rule, something that I need to remind myself. Don't cut unless risk breaks, unless it's day low. That's it for today.